Hi, everyone. Welcome to How to Save Money on the Cost of College, our financial aid Jumpstart program by College Financial Prep. So a little bit about College Financial Prep. It all started with my own personal journey. I was a divorce coach with my MBA, and I was helping people with their financial goals and helping people separate the emotional from the financial and working with people on their personal finances. And then clients began to ask me how they were going to afford the cost of college for their children. And at the same time, my own children were starting to get older, and I knew what an important topic this was. So my goal, especially in working with all of you, is to help you spend the least amount necessary so that your children can still get the best education that we all want for them. The key is being strategic and detail-oriented so that you're able to maximize your savings, minimize your costs, reduce the need for student loan debt. And that's the goal. So if you're unsure how to proceed, don't potentially lose thousands of dollars. College Financial Prep is here to help. So as I like to say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Where is this thing?
Oops, can somebody mute? And here's the information that you need so that you could plan to reduce your college costs. Now, here is a college timeline for during high school. I'll send this to everyone along with the video of the recording. And this timeline is going to show you not only the financial, but also the admissions side. I created this with Eleanor Ferrante of Square Peg Square Hole Coaching. You're going to see everything in regards to test prep, admission, the applications, writing essays, and of course, all the financial information that you need. So it'll be all through high school, the steps that you should be taking at each step of the way. Now let's talk strictly about senior year and the financial aid timeline. So during, actually, let's start in summer. The bottom bullet point. So college research for rising high school seniors. This is the time where you want to determine the costs of college. You want to put together that college list, prepare the college applications and essays, take the SAT and ACT exams, determine what you can afford for the cost of college. And don't forget, it's not only freshman year. You have to think about all 4 years. And then if you have multiple children, how much can you afford for all of the kids? Then come the fall, it's time to fill out those financial aid applications. That's typically, they open October 1st. And we're going to get into the different types of applications there are. Come winter, the colleges may ask you to verify your information. And also typically in the winter is when your students will start receiving their college acceptances. Of course, it also depends on, by what date they apply. Some schools have rolling acceptances, some schools do it all a little differently. So it varies a little bit. Come the spring, your students will receive the financial aid award letters for the schools that they were accepted to. Also in the spring is when it's time to negotiate, an appeal. College decision day is May 1st. And then next summer is when you'll want to acquire student loans if you need to, maybe file any last minute appeals. So it's a whole year-long process. And I work with families throughout 12th grade and even into college to make sure that you don't lose any money any step of the way. So summer, as I just mentioned, now's the time to finalize that college list. Ideally, hopefully you started to talk with your child about it even in 11th grade. In 12th grade now, it's time to finalize that list so they could start submitting their applications, doing the Common App, the essays, looking at the supplemental essays, and thinking about college affordability. So fall, we mentioned October 1st is the date that the financial aid applications opened. So you have the FAFSA application, which is the free application for federal student aid. Then there's also the CSS profile, which is the College Scholarship Search Profile. And this is administered by the College Board. It's the same organization that administers the SAT exam, the AP exams. So FAFSA needs to be done for every school within the United States. The CSS profile does not need to be done for every school, but the schools will tell you if they require that additional form or not. Additionally, I don't know what state everyone here is from. Some states, I'm in New York. New York does have an extra financial aid form that's from the state. Not all states do, some do. So it's important to consider that also. Additionally, there are some colleges themselves that have their own additional financial aid form. So lots to consider and make sure that are completed in a timely manner. So winter's the time that colleges may ask for verification. And verification can mean proof of a tax return, proof of some type of earnings, proof that a child did not submit a tax return. It could even be if you adopted a child, proof of their birth certificate or adoption papers, or I've seen all different types of things. Or, you know, if there's an extenuating circumstance, proof of that extenuating circumstance. Also during the winter, this is the time when students will start to receive their college acceptance letters. And the letters that they receive will indicate if merit aid is offered. However, you know, just remember when you get these acceptance letters that offer, you know, X amount of money in merit scholarships, it doesn't show what the bottom line cost is going to be. Maybe there'll be need-based aid on top of that. Maybe, you know, so it's nice that they're getting merit aid, but it's not the final piece of paper, you know, detailing the economics. So, and at this point, the students can, and they should search for college scholarships. And everyone can go to collegefinancialprep.com/scholarships. And on the website, you'll find a whole listing of scholarship search sites and databases that will help with the scholarship search. And these are for private scholarships. So during the spring is the time when the financial aid award letters will come out. Now, this is the final number that details all of the economics. This will include your tuition, your room and board, the fees, how much you're receiving in scholarships, and how much you're receiving in need-based grants and student loans and work study and everything else. So here's where you'll see all of the financial details. And that final decision, college decision day, is May 1st. So that's when you and your student must decide what college they'll attend. And then that brings us back to summer, and this will be next summer. And that will be the time to acquire the student loans and file any additional appeals. So you're going into 12th grade. What are the college costs to be considered? Everybody knows of tuition and room and board, but there's miscellaneous fees, you know, lab fees and whatnot. Maybe there's parking fees, supplies, you know, are you buying a new computer? Is your child going to be joining a fraternity or sorority? You know, those could be a couple $1,000s a year. And what if your child goes to school cross country? You know, you need to consider travel expenses and flying to and from. And what about tutoring? And even this year, college application fees, you know, the cost to set up a dorm room, spending money for your child. You know, are you going to be helping them, you know, afford their Starbucks? You know, cell phone costs, dorm insurance. There is dorm insurance that's separate from homeowners. It's good to compare the two to see which one makes more sense for your family. So this is why we're here, to talk about, you know, student loans, college affordability, and making sure to reduce your student loan debt. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on right now. Right now, there's $1.57 trillion in outstanding student loan debt in the US. 54% of college attendees are taking on debt, including student loans, to help with their education. The average student loan borrower has $37,584 in student loan debt. However, some people, they're taking out loans for, medical school, grad school, law school, dental school, whatever it is. They have hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan debt. So, important to consider a child's future career plans in all of this too, when considering undergraduate education. So in order to save money, college financial prep utilizes what I call the goals system. So goals for, G, we generate the college list. O is for October 1st, which is filling out the financial aid forms. Then we want to analyze those financial aid award letters and look for more free money. And then last, we're going to secure student loans if need be. So generating a college list. It's important to consider how much money you're able to put towards college costs, how much you have saved, your earnings, your future earnings, and what you can contribute each year to cover all 4 years for your child and any other children in the household. And then from there, say, I'm making up this example. Say you have $50,000 saved in a 529 plan, perhaps, or whatever other savings account, and you're able to contribute another $10,000 each year. You figure you could afford that from your yearly salary. Well, in total, you'll have $90,000. Perhaps you want to divide that by 4 years. So you'll have $22,000 a year that you can afford before taking any student loans. And of course, this is just a rough estimate, but just something to think about as you're going in and maybe creating a budget for college, something to discuss with your children. So when you're developing the college list, I want you to consider schools that are reach schools, target schools, safety schools, and also financially friendly schools. And when I say financially friendly, I don't mean it has to be an in-state public university. There are many schools that will, with merit scholarships, need-based aid and whatnot, they can even be cheaper, less expensive than an in-state public school. Just so you know, in the past couple of years with COVID and with everything that's been going on in the world, schools that people thought were target schools really became reach schools. Safety schools became target schools. Make sure that you apply to your child applies to plenty of safety schools, just so they have, I don't want them to be upset and I want them to have what to choose from. So make sure that their college list covers a broad range of places where they'll be happy and that are also financially affordable. So now, how do you find free money? Well, free money really comes in 2 flavors. You have merit scholarships and you have need-based aid. So let's talk about merit scholarships first. The most merit money comes from the colleges themselves. It doesn't come, from the private scholarships out there. And merit money is awarded for a variety of reasons. It's not just for academics. It can be for your child wants to go to a school that is in the middle of the country and you live on one of the coasts and they're looking to attract a more geographically diverse student body. So they may entice your student with merit scholarships. Or maybe your student is a wonderful French horn player and they're applying to a school that has a marching band. They may entice your student with merit money. Maybe the school, is just looking to fill seats. Colleges are businesses. They need to fill their seats. They may want to entice your child to attend with merit scholarship money. There's a whole host of reasons. Don't think that, because your child is not a straight A student, that, they won't qualify for merit aid. It's certainly possible. Now, need-based aid, you have to complete the financial aid forms to qualify. And the financial aid forms, as we started to say earlier, it includes the FAFSA application, any state financial aid forms, the CSS profile, the college forms. It's important to pay attention to what each college requires. So now let's talk a little bit more about merit scholarships money. One of the ways to receive a lot of merit scholarship money potentially is from applying and enrolling in a college honors program. Now, there are lots of benefits to these programs. Now, first of all, you want your child to be one of the top applicants to the school. So say like the top 10, 15, 20%, to qualify for merit aid. Perhaps if your child was looking at a target school, they look at safety schools so that they can now apply to the honors programs. But the honors programs, not only do they typically offer lots of free money, they'll offer priority registration, priority housing, networking opportunities with the faculty, learning and living communities for the honors kids, lots of different benefits. And as I mentioned before, these are for all students at all different types of schools. It's just a great thing to consider in terms of looking for free money. So let's talk about test optional colleges now and test blind colleges and what the difference is.
It smells like pizza.
Now, test optional colleges are schools that they don't require the students to submit the ACTs or the SATs, but they will take them. And usually those test optional colleges use the test scores to consider the students for awarding merit money. Therefore, I always recommend that the kids take the tests. You can decide which schools to send the test scores to. You don't have to send it to every school, but it can help with saving money on the cost of college. The test blind colleges, they don't want the scores at all. You can go to fairtest.org and you can find a list of schools that will tell you whether or not the test scores are required or not. So if that's something that is important to you, go to fairtest.org. And as long as we're talking about this, demonstrating interest, especially as you're putting together the college list and you're exploring and researching schools, colleges like to see that you're interested in them. So as you're starting the process now, make sure to visit the school's website, request information, have your child follow the colleges on social media, perhaps meet with the college admissions counselors at a local college fair, send emails to the college or the college advisor with relevant questions, not something that can just be found on their website, but, maybe something relevant to their major, their career goals. And also, if you have the opportunity, visit the college and take a tour. Certainly, sign up and register. Also on your own, you may want to go on YouTube and look at the official and unofficial websites to, gain some knowledge about the different colleges. So now let's talk about need-based aid. So federal need-based aid can consist of any of the following. You have Pell Grants, you have work study, and you have subsidized loans. For undergraduates, the FAFSA application will look at both the students and the parents' income and assets, as well as a host of other factors. They'll look at the number of people in the household, they'll look at the parents' ages, they'll consider many different factors. There's no just automatic cutoffs for who's going to qualify for need-based aid. I can certainly help a family determine if they're likely to get need-based aid, but there's no like cut and dry numbers I can just give you right now. So, you're probably wondering, well, if my child wants to go to a school that costs $80,000 a year, then fine, that's up to them and let them do it, and they'll pay the loans. And it doesn't work that way. So with the federal government, they allow students to take out a certain amount in student loans every year. And as you can see, freshmen can take out student loans up to $5,500 per year. Sophomores can take out up to $6,500 per year. And juniors and seniors can take out up to $7,500 each year. There's no credit check, credit history check for the students, no cosigner is needed. But, freshman year, they're only able to take out $5,500. So then what about the balance? But the balance is going to fall on the parents. If your family does qualify for need-based aid, though, the good news is that your student would be entitled to a subsidized student loan through the federal government as opposed to an unsubsidized loan. And the subsidized student loan means that the interest won't accrue until after graduation. Otherwise, if the student is taking out unsubsidized loans, my recommendation is to try to pay off a little bit of that loan every month, even when the child is in college, just so the interest doesn't, balloon. So then what happens after the $5,500? Well, the parents can take out Parent Plus loans, and that's through the government. The student can take out private student loans with the parent as a cosigner. The child cannot apply as an independent on the, typically can't apply as an independent on the financial aid forms for financial aid. They can't apply for private student loans without a cosigner. It's very, very difficult for a child to be able to qualify as an independent when it comes to financial aid forms. There have to be some serious considerations going on in that household for a child to qualify. So some families think, why should I even bother filling out financial aid applications? We're not going to qualify. I earn too much. We have too much in assets, so on and so forth. Well, anyway, here's a list of reasons why everyone should submit financial aid applications. Merit scholarship money. Now, and of course, need-based aid. Now, it's not true at 100% of colleges, but some colleges require that people submit the financial aid forms to qualify for merit scholarship money. That reason alone is enough. Why potentially lose free money? Fill out the applications. Also, as we were talking about that $5,500 in student loans for the student, if the student wants or needs to take out that money, the FAFSA application has to be completed. And it doesn't matter if the family earns, $500,000 a year or has, $3 million in the bank. Everyone qualifies. As long as they submit FAFSA, the student qualifies for those student loans. Work study. If a student wants to apply for work study, again, it's done with the FAFSA form. And lastly, if there should be a downward change in financial circumstances, somebody loses a job, heaven forbid somebody gets hit by a bus, whatever, if there's this downward change in finances, as long as the FAFSA application is on file, it's possible then to request a re-review and hopefully savings can be realized. So with FAFSA, the student has to submit the parent's financial information. And as we discussed before, the student cannot be considered independent unless it's under very extreme circumstances. And to qualify, for the loans, the work study, anything, the FAFSA form needs to be submitted. So what is EFC? I don't know if this is a term that you're familiar with yet or not, but it stands for Expected Family Contribution, and it's derived with completing the FAFSA form. So let's talk a little bit about what this number means. I'm going to show you some examples, and it's calculated through the FAFSA. We can forecast it now for you in advance. So, if that's something that you're interested in, you'll let me know. So the EFC, Expected Family Contribution, is not actually the amount of money that you'll pay for college, though it could be. Every single college is different. So we're going to discuss two different examples. So school A meets 100% of a family's needs. So for this example, we projected what the EFC will be, and for this family, it's $10,000 per year. but the cost of attendance at school A is $70,000 per year. So $70,000 per year minus what the family could afford per the government, when they're saying $10,000, equals $60,000 in need. Since school A meets 100% of need, the student's cost is $10,000. Now let's look at school B. School B only meets 50% of need. The family still has the same EFC of $10,000 per year. And that's, again, what the government assumes that that family could afford to pay for college. The cost of attendance at school B is also $70,000. So same as before, there's $60,000 in need, but school B meets only 50% of need. So therefore, school B is only going to provide $30,000 to be put towards need. This student needs to pay $10,000 plus the extra $30,000. So the total at this school, the total cost will be $40,000. So it's something to consider, to be aware of. Every college uses their own different formula. Different schools contribute different amounts towards need. So it's important to get a feeling, even before submitting those applications and before finalizing the college list, what your projected costs are going to be for all of the schools, to know whether it's doable or not doable financially, and perhaps whether or not your child should even apply to that school, or find another college to apply to that will be a better fit financially and otherwise. So now let's talk about work study. Work study is applied for through the FAFSA application. Students work in an on-campus job and they receive a paycheck. And they get the paycheck typically every couple of weeks. And the check can be used for spending money, to put towards tuition, or whatever else they want to do with it. And it's up to the student to seek a position once on campus to get the job. So while parents are often hesitant for their freshmen to find a work study position, there are a lot of benefits. The kids get work experience for their resumes, they learn time management skills, and when the job is quiet, they can do their homework. Really, even if a family doesn't qualify for work study, there are still many on-campus jobs for the kids to get. I think it's a great opportunity for them. So other college financial aid forms I mentioned other than FAFSA, CSS profile, the state forms, and also the college forms. Just be mindful of those and the requirements. Now with the CSS profile, there are about 400 colleges that use the CSS profile to award grants and scholarships. This is just a rough, I'm summing it up, but it's like a rough guideline. The schools, the brand name schools, the ones that you may see on bumper stickers, mostly private universities, the Ivy Leagues, Syracuse, NYU, GW, BU, the schools that you'll likely see on bumper stickers, they'll likely require the CSS profile. There are also a couple of public universities that require it also. So it's also important to know which schools are going to require what. And especially if you have a specific situation that you're concerned about, whether it's divorce or widowhood, or where your money is held, it may also be worthwhile discussing this to plan strategically and see which type of financial aid form may be better for you, and maybe steering one way or the other in terms of schools by what they're going to request in terms of financial aid forms from you. And I've done that and I've seen lots of success for families. So what is the CSS profile? What makes it different than FAFSA? The CSS profile is a much longer form, much bigger application. It provides a more holistic view of a household's finances. The major difference is with CSS, they're going to look at the value of your home and at the value of your retirement accounts. And if you own a business, they're going to dig into your business tax returns. So there are definitely considerations. And there are also considerations if you're from a separated or divorced family, and so that's why I was talking about planning strategically with colleges. It could make a big difference financially. And saying that the CSS profile could make a big difference financially, I'm not talking about all bad. There are reasons that the CSS profile could help people too. Perhaps somebody doesn't own a home and they rent. I mean, that can help. So it depends on, what your income and your assets are, as to how the CSS might impact you. So like weight loss, these results aren't typical, but we were talking about planning strategically, and I've literally had clients save hundreds of thousands of dollars each. So how did they do this? They applied to the right colleges for their situation. The child had to be accepted at those schools too. And then the child, was flexible with where they were going, and they chose to attend the best school. And by this, the best school, I mean the one that had the best financial offering. So it is possible, sometimes, as I said, it's not always typical. It's not always typical to apply to all of the right schools. It's not always typical to be accepted at all of the right schools. And, certainly the child and the family has to be flexible with where to attend. So now let's talk about if there are extenuating circumstances, whether it's divorce, whether it's widowhood, whether it's a job loss, whether it's a medical illness, maybe it's something other. So key is to be strategic in applying to the right colleges and universities. If you're divorced, maybe look for a college that won't request the other parent's financial information. If your finances are limited, perhaps determine net costs for each college before submitting applications. And actually, I recommend that everybody does that. If you're looking to receive merit scholarships, you want to analyze your students' academic accomplishments and match it up with each college to determine the likely awards. And there are some colleges that will actually list on their websites what GPAs they're looking for, what test scores they're looking for to award merit aid. So yeah, not every school does, but some schools do. So now I want to tell you a little story about my broken down heating system and how it relates to the cost of college. So I had a heating system that broke down, and I had two different companies come to give me estimates. The first guy was okay, priced a little higher. The second guy priced a little lower, but also, a little bit different. Was probably going to be a better fit in terms of the work that he was going to do for me. Anyway, I called the first guy back to say thank you, but no thank you. And the first thing he said was, can I give you a lower price? Now, the reason I bring this up, just know colleges are like businesses. They may be willing to offer you a better price. So keep that in mind as you go through the process. So now let's talk a little bit about success stories and failures. Success stories are the people that plan in advance. They are the ones that research the schools, consider finances. They're the ones that submit their financial aid applications early on in the process when the schools have more money. They're the ones that either file appeals or negotiate their awards. They do everything they need to do every step of the way. The failures, literally, please do not do this. I've had a couple of people call me. The kids are on their way to college. They're asking me, okay, we committed to the school. They're on their way. How can you help us save money now? I mean, candidly, yes, we can look for, private scholarships, but in the main, it's too late. It's important to, consider all of the costs before you commit to the college, as opposed to the committing to the college and then trying to figure it out. So just know there's no right or wrong path to college. There's no one best school for everyone's child. Each school out there is going to provide different, and wonderful opportunities for all of the kids. So even if it's a school that, locally, many may have not heard of, that doesn't mean it's not going to be a wonderful experience for your child. So just, it's best to keep an open mind, be flexible. That's how you find the opportunities. So, just know, growing on that point, every person, every family, different values, goals, expectations. Some families are looking for the lowest cost possible in a college because that's what their finances dictate, where other families want what they perceive as the best school for their child. Some people only want the largest campus, the best football team, the highest rankings, whatever it is. And others want the best college that comes with the best pricing. There's no right or wrong in any of this. All I can say is, try to be as flexible as possible. So I can't stress it enough. It's early right now, not early, this is the right time. Speak with your kids about your goals and your values and your expectations, especially in regards to finances. Communication is key. When you work together towards a common goal, you reduce the possible resentment that can happen when a child gets into their dream school and then the family can't afford it. I've seen it happen too often. April, right before May 1st, college decision day. Children are crying, parents are upset that they can't do for their child what they would love to do. So it's important to communicate early on and all be on the same page. So let's discuss two different types of situations right now. The first situation, we're going to talk about two students, and they both want to become teachers. One student decides to attend the in-state university. The other decides to attend, it doesn't matter if she or he attends a private school or an out-of-state public university, but ultimately both of those students, they're going to take the same state teaching licensing exam. They're likely going to have similar earnings working in the same public school. But the one with the higher cost degree, the one that went either out of state or to a private college, they're going to have a lower return on investment. And they'll likely have more in student loans to repay and less to keep from their weekly salary. So in that instance, it may be better to consider a lower cost college when going for teaching. But in our next example, let's consider a student who has a very specialized major. Maybe this student wants to be a medical researcher. For this student, their career path may look very different by what college they choose to attend. Their potential salaries at different universities could be very different. They may be better served by attending a more expensive, college or university and taking out the student loans based on what their future career path and salary could be. So, it's important to take all of those considerations into account when putting together the college list and ultimately deciding on where to attend. Sometimes spending a little more, and maybe that is on college, could be the correct thing to do. So what's next? Now that we've discussed the college list, need-based aid, merit scholarships, student loans, and upcoming financial aid applications, how can college financial prep help you save money on the cost of college? If you're interested, please feel free, schedule your a free 15-minute call to discuss your concerns. Everybody's concerns are a little bit different. You could always visit collegefinancialprep.com and click the yellow button to schedule your call. Different times and days will pop up, and whatever is good for you. So right now, just so you know, College Financial Prep is working with families to develop and finalize financially friendly college lists, submitting FAFSA as close to October 1st as possible. We're starting to get everyone set up right now. Strategize with families who have difficult or unique situations so that they're best positioned when they apply for financial aid. And we're hosting monthly online discussions on a different topic each month to continue to help you save. throughout the entire 12th grade. And this is our Every Step of the Way program. So College Financial Prep guides parents through the college list, financial aid, scholarship, and student loan processes. And the goal is for you to maximize savings, minimize costs, and reduce the need for student loan debt. We provide individualized services, group coaching programs, and online courses that are specific to your family's needs. Feel free to reach out to us today, collegefinancialprep.com.